Welcome to the Essex Birdwatching Society review, Birds of Essex for March. We've got a great programme tonight, haven't we, guys? We've got Matt and Steve with me again.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing then?
I'm good, mate. Yeah. What we got on the programme tonight?
God. Well, firstly, it doesn't seem like a month, since the last one. It only seems like a couple of weeks.
That's true, yeah. It's a month to the day, though, isn't it? 19?
Yeah, it just flies past. Well, it's spring now, isn't it?
Yep, yeah. First day of spring tomorrow. So
spring has sprung, yeah.
Migration started.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So,
and then I know we're talking about optics tonight. We're going to be looking at migration and reviewing what's been around and what we're expecting. And then also you've got something to celebrate, haven't you, this week, Steve?
So, yeah, a bit of a milestone this week. It was my 50th birthday on Tuesday. So, yeah, well, I don't know about that. But yeah, had a nice day. I was thoroughly spoilt. My second lockdown birthday, obviously last year of lockdown as well. So yeah, really nice. Got a few little treats.
Any good prezzies?
Got myself a new phone. So yeah, which is remarkable for me because I always have my mum's cast-offs.
Works the other way in our house. Usually we go to the kids and scrounge.
Yeah, no, my mum's well up on technology. So,
brilliant. I've actually got you a treat downstairs, Steve. I don't know whether my wife's watching, wants to bring it with a candle, but I got you a fresh cream cake out this morning.
Oh,
no joke.
That's a lovely thought, Steve. But obviously, I'll be round in a minute. All right. So,
it's not something I can kind of pass down through the screen, mate.
Do you know what was amazing? Annette made me a cake, and that's like I had a Victoria sponge. I did, so it was lovely.
Well, to be fair, I did see a big plume of smoke over the west side of the town, and I thought that might be your birthday cake candles. So,
but do you know what? One of the most amazing thing was I got this. Look, so David Smith, who's an EBS member, he got me this, a Med Gold face mask.
Brilliant.
In fact, when you talk, it looks like the Med Gold's talking. That's fantastic.
Well, actually, to be honest, another member wanted to be remembered to you, Steve. And I bumped into Richard Stanley a little while ago.
Okay.
And he suggested he wanted to offer you a particular present. So I've got it here.
A pineapple?
He says he wanted me to get you a pineapple. I don't know whether Richard's watching. I'm going to have to focus a bit, but yeah, he wanted to get you a pineapple because apparently at Christmas time, just before Christmas, when I bumped into him, he was really down in the dumps, I said, well, what's wrong? He said, I was supposed to be with Steve on a trip. Yeah. He said, I was supposed to be in Costa Rica. And he said, I've just been to the Tesco's and I bought a pineapple. And I looked at the bottom and it said produce of Costa Rica.
Hey.
So he said, if you see Steve Grimwade, get him a pineapple. I didn't want to do it at Christmas. I thought it was too raw because you were supposed to be in Costa Rica, weren't you, Steve?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, such a shame. Yeah.
But I thought for your birthday and big 5-0 as well, I've got to do that. So,
oh, brilliant.
Just so I remember it's yours, I kind of cut a little screen out and I'm going to attach it on there, all right?
Oh, it's superb. I love it.
And I'll put it next to me Bibles and all that kind of thing, hoping one day that you actually make it to Costa Rica. How's that?
Oh, fingers crossed next year, I think it is now. So, yeah.
I was just going to say that's the closest you're going to get to Costa Rica this year, I reckon.
Yeah. But, another news this week, I've had my COVID jab today. So, so the joys of being 50.
You should have your flight passport coming then soon.
Yeah, my second jab's booked already, so yeah, all good stuff.
But no, seriously, one of the big news items really is we're starting to unlock out. We're not quite there yet, but how's that looking for work and business, Steve? Because you obviously...
I'm planning to start my local walks on the 23rd, 23rd?
29th, I think.
29th.
Yeah.
I'm so confused with dates. Yeah, so I'm just taking 5 people out plus myself, doing some sites in Essex, Suffolk, you know, the Brecks, places like that. So if anyone's interested, a little bit of a plug, check out our swallow birding website. But yeah, I can't wait to get back to work again. It's been a long drag now.
Yeah. How are you doing, Matt? You're kind of semi-furloughed, aren't you? Kind of part-time?
Yeah, I mean, I work in retail, so I'm currently working 3 days a week, which is better than not doing anything at all. But again, I can't wait to get the shop open. Hopefully, the 12th of April, all being well, we'll all go back to being full time and get back to some kind of normality. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah.
What about yourself?
For me, I've never been busier actually in the last few weeks, but that's because I chose to start a master's program during the lockdown, so that's all been online. And yeah, it's starting to kind of get pretty hectic. So essay writing, reading, and all that kind of thing. But I'm enjoying it, stretching me, but enjoying it. Yeah, all good. But it does kind of mean the birding has to kind of take back seat from time to time. But
Yeah.
But there we go. Anyway, should we talk how people can feedback and get in touch? And
Yeah, so basically it's the usual stuff really tonight. So you've got the YouTube chat. So if you're logged into YouTube via a Gmail account, you can ask questions if you want to on YouTube, and we'll try and monitor it and pick them up and answer them for you. If you prefer to send a text, there's a phone number which is 07930 530044. So it's 07930 530044. And you can, if you want to, contact us on Facebook, Steve.
Yep. So yeah, the Essex Birdwatching Society Facebook page, which is at EBWS Info. Just send us a direct message to Facebook, and we'll pick up on that as well. So lots of ways to contact us tonight.
that'll be great. And one of the things later we're talking about is optics, binoculars, telescopes, as we promised. Kind of had to run that over from the last program. And we've had a poll on Twitter today as to what people prefer in terms of their magnifications and specifications of binos. And so let us know in the chat as well, kind of what your preference is, whether you're an 8x30 type binocular, 8x40, 10x40, or 10x50, or even something else. It'd be interesting to know. Matt, you've got a little treat for us tonight, haven't you? Kind of something for itching ears.
Well, yeah. So last year we did. Sorry, it feels like last year. Last month we did some pictures, and this month we're doing a little bit of sound. So what we've done, obviously, with it being springtime, we're going to have a whole bunch of spring warblers turning up over the next few weeks, we hope. So got a selection of warblers. There's 6 in total. I'm going to play the clip in a second. It takes just over a minute, so it's not that long. And each one is separated with a small space. And the idea is really, if anyone has got any idea at all what the species are, please make a comment in the YouTube chat or on Facebook or on the text, as we said before. You don't have to put them in order necessarily, just say what you think we've got. So without further ado, I'm going to press play, and hopefully you'll all be able to hear this, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Number one.
And that's it, guys.
Wow, nice.
We've got 6
Very
different
nice.
species
Yeah.
there. We'll probably do it again a bit later on, and maybe the next time we'll do it, we'll kind of give the list of species out. So we're going to give you guys some time just to put some suggestions in the chat, see what you think, and then we'll confirm what 6 species there are, maybe see if anyone can put them in the right order. So there's a couple of easy ones, a couple of slightly trickier ones, but yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
Cool. So at this point, you don't need to put them in order. In fact, jumble them up and let everybody kind of have a chance of doing that next time round. Cool, well, brilliant.
I don't know. I suppose if anyone can put them in order, they get an extra brownie point, maybe.
Yeah, they do.
A slice of pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you a ticket to Costa Rica, or a piece of pineapple anyway.
Yeah, pineapple.
Good stuff. Now, we've also got some news on sweatshirts.
We have. Yeah, let me do a bit of screen sharing. So here we go. So our wonderful sweatshirts that we're modelling tonight. We've got some new colours. So now there's 4 colours to choose from at a really good cost of £25 each. An absolute bargain. They're lovely. They wash lovely. They're nice and warm and ideal for you when you're going out birding for the day. And they're available in various sizes. If you want to order any, contact Jerry Johnson. His email is here on the screen, which I'll leave up for a few seconds. But yeah, really look good.
There you go.
They're good quality. They are actually they're warm and they're really nice. So yeah, I'm probably going to get another one, I think, to be fair.
Good stuff. Yeah, get them while they can. As say, kind of limited numbers of sizes. So if you do want one, or you know somebody who would appreciate one, then get in touch with Jerry, and he'll sort that out. He said he'll do it on a first come first serve basis. So that would be great. Yeah. Good. Brilliant. Right, I'm looking up here. So I've got a screen with kind of the run sheet for tonight up there, and I guess we ought to start talking birds and what's been about. We've had a few exciting throw-ups. The wind that we had coming through just over a week ago seemed to stir a few things up.
Yep.
I need to share a screen for the bird at Rainham, don't I? For kind of.
Yep. Yeah, the weather's been a bit unsettled, hasn't it? It's been, wet and windy sometimes, and then we have nice, like today, beautiful spring day today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful day. I mean, the skies have been blue. It's been, a little bit of cloud cover. I had to work this morning, but on the way back home, I did stop off in Manningtree Mistley. I had a walk along the walls. I went to the quay. There was a couple of really nice red-breasted merganser close in. There was a male bird, and in fact, there was I think it was a jove male as well. I haven't processed any pictures yet, but I might see if I can grab one in a bit while you're talking and pop it on the screen, see what people think. And of course, the medgull, it was there. So again, I'll grab a picture of that in a second because that's looking extremely smart at the moment. It really is.
Well, we're in that kind of transition time, haven't we? We've got stuff coming in, starting to come in, but we've still got kind of some of the winter species still around, and some leaving. It's been amazing seeing Paul Brayshaw and his reports from Frinton. I think kind of around about, was it 1,000 starling or something or other today on a report? That might have been yesterday's report. But he's been watching chaffinches in their hundreds, also leaving, probably heading out over the North Sea back to Europe. But this particular bird was one that got everybody talking in my vicinity in the south of the county, and that there was uncertainty whether it was a long-tailed skewer or an Arctic skewer, but it turned up at Rainham on the back of the winds on Friday and was whizzing around over the reserve for a few hours, I believe, in the afternoon. It was gone the following day, but somebody managed to snap some pictures, and from those, Howard and others determined that it was actually a long-tailed. So cracking bird.
Really good spring bird. I mean, they're not common in Essex anyway, but to get one in the spring is
So what else has been about, guys? What have you been seeing, Steve?
So yeah, I've obviously been still concentrating on the local patch, up to 88 species this year, which is pretty good considering, I'm not as lucky as Matt having a reservoir and you having the coast, I've got a gravel pit as about as good as it gets for aquatic habitat. But yeah, still lots of redwings, siskins still about, including in the garden the last couple of days. And I've been doing lots of walks and found at least 3 pairs of little owl, which has been really, really good. And it's that time of year for red kites. I think I've seen 9 red kites now on the patch in the last few weeks.
That's fabulous.
Which is really good. What else? And I had woodcock on whatever day of the week it is. Wednesday. I don't know what day of the week it was. Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday, wasn't it? Because we had one the same day.
Oh, that's right. It was Wednesday. Oh, the days all blur into one, to be honest. So yeah, it's been it's some nice stuff around, which is really good. Still looking for summer migrants. Got a few chiffies on the patch now, but any day now for blackcap here.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Steve?
Well, for me, again, I've got another bit of a spectacular. I got a call from Nick Lay over Twitter, and he'd spotted this.
Oh, very nice.
In the reed beds down at East Tilbury. Again, suspect it was affected by the wind and had flown in because it was actually in a little ditch, or even actually in the borough dike on the side of the sea wall. And he managed to snap off a couple of pictures of this bittern just as it left. And then say it was flushed, and I did a webs count on the weekend and checked every reed bed at least 3 times, but no joy. It could still be around. There's plenty of reedy areas and things around here. And again, they do just pop up, don't they, in the ditch or something like that, kind of, from time to time when you're walking along there in the morning. And, it's the first bittern I ever saw at Messingham as a kid. Was exactly like that when they were very rare, and just flew up out of a ditch. And I thought, what's that, a pheasant? But no, getting a better look at it, saw it was a heron and bitten. So I'll do that in a minute. That's what else have we had? Not that.
You're bitten, Steve. You've got Stamford Warren nearby, haven't you? That's got a big bed. Yeah,
we have.
Which might be worth checking out. You never know.
It is a large area of reed bed there, and they've been seen there before, but they're not annual. We did think we were going to kind of have a chance, because generally when you get a hard frost, we've got 1 or 2 deeper lakes that tend to be frost-free, and they can turn up there. We had one last year on the Golden Gates Heronry Shore, as it's also called, lake at Thameside Nature Park, but we've not seen one there this year. But cracking bird, got to be one of our favourite birds, haven't we? Then, as I say, we had the same day we had the woodcock. We also had 3 snipe and a jack snipe. I don't think I ever recall having all 3 of those species down at East Tilbury, but the ground's been very, very wet, and I think that's drawn them into new areas. We're just walking over a kind of a meadow type area that's more renowned for skylarks in the summer. So yeah, that's been good. Barn owl, and then. Yeah, what else have we had? Again, kind of Ben Rumsby. He had a spectacle down at Chafford 100 where one morning he got up and there was over 50 or so redpoll in a tree at the bottom of his garden. And then I think I've got a picture somewhere. We're not on screen share now, are we? So I've got a cracking picture of a similar bird. I can find it. Here it is. And this is from Pete Merchant, one of our local birders. And that's a siskin.
Yep.
You got that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you look there, there's the clue exactly what it's feeding on, those little seed heads. Are they larch?
Alder.
Alder and birch, that's right. Alder and birch are where to look for these this time of year. They love the seed heads and also the redpolls as well, often goldfinches with them. Yeah, 50 redpolls it was a phenomenal picture. He's put a picture up on WhatsApp, I think, and on the social media.
It's worth looking out for the mealy redpolls as well at the moment, the common redpolls. I think there's been a few of them coming through, and they're just a bit kind of whiter underneath. and I think the wing bars are whiter as well, and they're a slightly bigger bird as well. Yeah.
You could see on that siskin how thin, how like sharp the bill was for getting the little tiny seeds out of the, you know, the alder.
Yeah.
Lovely bird.
Well, I've been hoping to have bittern at Ardea Reservoir, but so far no luck. I know Matt Lonsdale had one, I think, a couple of years ago. And there's some decent reed bed areas, particularly the ones sort of furthest away from the causeways, and you'd think that might be good habitat, and especially considering there's good numbers of little egret there. You know, there's been sort of 5, 6 regularly, regular 2 great white egrets this year, and obviously plenty of grey herons as well. So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before I may manage to snag a bittern, hopefully, up there. But I have, you'll be pleased to know, if I can share pictures quickly, hold on. You'll be pleased to know that I have finally, although I can't seem to get my pictures to work, bear with me 1 second.
You got it?
They are loaded, but I'm not sure why they're not showing up on my screen.
Why you set that up, Mick?
There we go. There we go.
You got it?
Yeah, so you should be able to see, hopefully.
It's a tree.
Well, what can you see?
Go on.
A tree. Oh no.
I can see an old oak.
This is a picture that for anybody who follows me on Twitter, you'll have probably already seen this picture.
Okay.
And I must admit, I did kind of cheat when I came back home and edited the picture, because I had originally, I was standing a long way away from this tree, and I only had my bins and camera with me, and I was looking for this particular species, and I thought I'd picked one out, but I couldn't be certain through the bins, so I took a picture on the camera so I could confirm it. And then I thought I'd have a bit of fun with the picture when I got back home on Twitter. So I put this on there, and I called it Spot the Little Owl. And there is a little owl on there somewhere. And without wanting to take too long over it, it is just over here.
Yeah, lovely.
Just on the right-hand side.
So camouflage.
Yeah, and as I watched the bird, it actually flew round the field and it came a bit closer. So I managed to get a slightly better image. Which was really nice. So I've joined the Owl Club, you'll be pleased to know, because I hadn't seen an owl until this.
Well done.
And then other things I've seen since last month. I live in Colchester and I work in Ipswich. So I'm quite fortunate, as Steve said, because on the days that I'm working, I'll normally either get up early and leave home early and go somewhere for a walk, you know, and hopefully to spot some birds as well. Or I'll do the same thing on the way home, depending on what time I'm finishing work. And of course, I've got Ardea Reservoir, I've got Manningtree Mistley, because you can get to Ipswich that way. And this is a great grey shrike that's actually been in a location just off the A12 for about the last couple of weeks. Nice. And the morning I went to see it, I got up really early and I got there about 7:20, which is really early for me. And I pulled into the area where it had been seen, and the very first bird that I saw was this bird. And to be fair, I didn't even get out of the car because I was too close to it. I'd have scared it. So I wound the window down really carefully. Luckily, I'd put the camera on the front seat and not in the boot. And I managed to get a couple of snaps. So I was quite pleased with that. And it's only really, I think it's the 3rd or 4th one I've seen, because I've only been birding for 4 or 5 years now. So I was really pleased to see that, and probably the best views I've had. And then other birds really quickly. Again, my job took me down to, well, actually out towards Malden. I had to go and see a client last week. So again, same thing. I stopped on the Abberton Causeway, had a 20-30 minute walk up and down the causeway, and fortunate enough to get the Smew pair just off of the Layer Breton Causeway there. So I was quite pleased to see them. And at the same time, there was a great crested grebe pair, really close in, and they went into their courtship routine. And I managed to snap that picture, which I was quite pleased with. I thought it just captivated the 2 birds, and how it's amazing the way their movements are so symmetrical when they're doing that.
Yeah.
It's literally mirror image. It's incredible. And then obviously there was a great white egret there, but this one was very close in. So again, a very quick snap before it flew. But always nice to see those. And then Manningtree Mistley. This was about 4 or 5 days ago, I think. There's been a regular female great scorp off the Mistley Key. And the particular day that I walked along, because I park up one end and I walk right the way along the walls, right to the quay, all the way back again, and then go to work. And this particular bird, so on this particular day, the bird was really close in, so I managed to get a picture. It wasn't particularly awake, but I did get a picture with its eye open. And then I double joined the owl club because I managed to get a barn owl as well, which I was really, really pleased with.
Nice one.
And I think those are all of my pictures, because we now move on. I've got 2 pictures that were sent in by Glenn Moore. So thanks very much, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
First one, obviously, red kite. What a brilliant picture.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see he's. I think probably the kite's watching Glenn just as much as Glenn was watching the kite.
It's carrying something, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's got some prey. I don't know if I can zoom in. I don't know if this will work on the share. It's got something. Yeah, I can't quite work out what it is, but it's definitely carrying something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So that's really good. And then the other picture that he sent through was, I think he said it was taken in his garden.
Wow.
And it's a really pristine chiffy.
Oh, chiff chaff.
Really nice. So you've got obviously the dark legs and a bit of an eye stripe going on, a little stubby bill on chiff chaff compared to willow. But yeah, beautiful bird, really lovely. And I think he also said he had a brambling in his garden as well. So that's really good info there. So thanks, Glenn.
Brilliant.
I just had a message on Facebook from Alan Bright, who said that he's had a female blackcap in his garden for the last week.
Brilliant.
So
Nice.
whether that's a wintering bird or a spring migrant, bit difficult to say this time of year, but yeah, well done, Alan. That's really good. And I forgot to mention, I've been doing my local patch, but on Monday I took a slight wrong turn and I ended up at Abberton, and I ended up walking 17 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, a crazy thing to do. So yeah, my walking boots were very muddy afterwards, which you'll be pleased to know.
You know what? You get to 50 and you can't even remember which way to turn when you're there. That's what it is.
It's good that you're still able to walk 17 miles when you're 50, mate.
We've got a few messages on YouTube. Can I just
yeah, go for it.
quickly run through a couple? So Les Malloy said evening, gents. So evening, Les.
Hi, Les.
And then I think we've got a couple of comments reference binoculars. So Tim Hayward says he uses 10x50s, which is brilliant. So we'll come on to that in a bit, but that's a really good combination. Les again, he used to use 10x42, but he's gone to 8x32s. He said they're much easier to use in the field. So yeah, again, something we're going to talk about. Daryl Ryan, so hi Daryl, how you doing, mate? He said, can we mention the Turtledove Survey? So yeah, we're going to come on to that a bit later on.
Will do.
So, yeah, thank you for that. And Ashley Gooding is 8x42. He prefers the brighter image. So good stuff, Ashley. Thank you. Ron Coulson has confirmed there's lots of chaffinch movement at the moment. So northeast Essex, Frinton, and he's saying, is there any reason for this?
To be fair, obviously a lot of wintering birds are heading back to Scandinavia now. So that's why people are seeing bramblings in their gardens. It's just birds heading back. You know, the weather's changing now, so they're desperate to get back to Scandinavia, northern Britain. So that's why we're seeing lots of those at the moment.
Okay, Matt
yeah,
Long,
we've had a notable exodus of them. We had kind of quite a few chaffinches around, evidently 2 or 3 weeks back. But even before the winds, they seemed to clear out of our area, and then chiffies started to turn up. My wife heard one locally last Wednesday. That was the first one we had reported.
We've got a couple more messages. Matt Lonsdale, I'm surprised he's still up actually, because on the WhatsApp group this morning, Matt was out bird watching at 5:50 this morning.
Wow,
I think he had quite a bit of siskin and chaffinch movement as well, if I remember correctly. But he said hello, and so hi Matt, how you doing? And he said it was late in 2018 when he had the bittern at Ardley Reservoir. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks for that.
Hopefully I'll get one again. That'll be a really nice bird to see. Daryl Rhymes also had a bittern at Ardley Reservoir 25 years ago. So fingers crossed I won't have to wait 23 years for the next one to come through.
I had a 24-pound pike about that time from Ardley Reservoir.
Then Matt's saying, yeah, they were rarer then. They're obviously a little bit more common now, I think, the bitterns. They're becoming a little bit more frequent around the whole of East Anglia, I think, really. Although it is still a scarce bird, and it's always lovely to see one, of course. And Andy Goody has got a little owl just down the road on the village cricket ground, and you can hear it from his bedroom window some nights.
Well,
so that's really nice as well. Yeah. So thanks for all that, guys.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks for everyone. Good messages. That's really great.
I've got a couple more pictures, and we've been doing pretty well with owls down here at East Tilbury. This is one of a kind of a local little area where often seen. Nick Lay's kind of done. Have I left? No, still there.
Hey, you're still there.
You got the picture.
Yep.
So and that was out about 9:30, 10 o'clock the other morning. So in these poplar trees.
Look at the camouflage as well.
Yeah, I've actually got another shot. I meant to put it up. It bent its head right down to preen down its feet, and all that kind of coppery grey on the back of the head came over and just blended right into the bark. And I thought, what is that? I could see these two white legs and claws, the talons kind of there. But then the rest of it was like kind of almost like Bitternesque, with the brown up a tree. And it really did have us for a little while when it, but then the other, that's the bit I showed before. Some medgulls turned up. There's a new scrape down at East Tilbury. Nice. I know Steve loves a medgull.
Oh, yes.
And what's interesting about this, unfortunately, I don't think I was near enough with the to get the picture, but if you look at this bird to the left,
yep,
it's actually got a leg ring on here.
Yep.
But the key with these adult medgulls, for those of you, again, like I struggle with my gulls, but we're making progress. But look at the primary feathers here. The flight feathers are white on these adults. They're black on the black-headed gulls. And then when you do actually get, more of a view of them, the beak is blood red, and it looks a lot stronger than the black-headed gulls. And also you get this little kind of white eyelid on them, which shows up. Particularly when they're, when they're not kind of asleep like that. But yeah, I'm not sure if anybody knows of any surveys and ringing surveys of medgulls. I'm more than willing to send that picture in. But then the other news was a couple of weeks ago, we had a short-eared owl that we just found. That Wednesday we were out, Steve, same day as you were out, and that was a real. So again, another one that Elaine, my wife, found. She's pretty good on that. Have you got that black-tailed godwit clip for me, Matt, or should I set that up while you guys?
Yeah, I can probably get it set up in just a second. I was going to very quickly, actually, if I can find the right photos, which I'm just trying to find now. I cheat a little bit when it comes to medgull pictures because obviously, as a lot of people know, there's a Mediterranean gull that's basically been glued to the fence at Mistley. I think there must be some really strong super glue across there because it's just always sat there. So first off, just coming back to what you were saying, Steve, regarding the wings.
Yeah.
Obviously on the adult bird, it's a full white wing with virtually no black on the primaries at all. You might sometimes get a tiny bit on the leading edge, but it's usually completely white. But this is the Mistley medgull taken, I think it was, it's his second summer. So it would have been last year, I guess. And you can see there is some black on the primaries, but it's a completely different pattern to what you get on black-headed gull. And of course, you've got a much darker hood. You've got the eye ring, and you've got the much bigger, sort of deeper bill. And I've got a slightly better example of the bill just here. This was one I took a short while ago because the medgull at Mistley is now a full adult. So you can see this is the same bird. The black on the wingtips is completely gone now. And again, you can see it's got this bird is absolutely stunning. It's definitely my favorite bird at the moment. It's just beautiful. And it's in pristine condition, and it's such a poser. It's like it sees a camera and it gives you its best side and sits in the sunlight, and yeah, lovely bird. So there you go. Are you okay, Steve, by the way? I know you're probably going to pass out in a minute. I expect all those medgulls.
Yeah, I can only take so much medgull action. Evening.
Yeah, medgull on top of your COVID jab. You don't know what that's going to do for you.
Put your face mask on, I reckon.
Exactly.
If you need the pineapple, let me know. Good. I think I might have that video here, Matt, unless you're...
Oh, cool. I can try it, actually, if you want. Cause,
you ready to go on it?
I will be probably in a second. Just
so we're going to talk about waders, because we've had a few waders arriving. And obviously I'm down at East Tilbury area on the River Thames, which is a great spot for waders. We had a flock of about 2,300 black-tailed godwit kicking around in the last week. And quite interesting that you got it to play. They're going into the summer plumage.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep, we've got it.
Shrink it so we can see the whole,
Just hit play.
Whole video. Here we go.
Nice.
So if we look at that bird towards the rear of the middle there, kind of coppering up lovely. And then some are still in their grey.
Oh.
And then they all shut off. Do you want to run that again?
Yeah, let me just take it back. There we go.
And just pause on that second clip.
Okay.
Because there were actually a number of these birds, actually half a dozen, that actually had colour rings on them. Look at the bird in the middle there.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about coloured rings last time, and there's an example of a wader with a coloured ring, Darvik ring survey work going on. And so you'd look at the leg, and on the left leg above the joint there, it's actually the ankle, I think, rather than the knee, isn't it? Kind of perspectively with a kind of bone structure, but we can call it the knee. But above that joint, on the left leg, it's green above blue, and then I'm looking now on the right leg, it was green, yellow, green, and so that's what you'd report. And if you let it run, Matt, there's a couple of stills coming up. One is of that bird there.
Okay.
And then this bird actually had like a triple barrel ring on its right leg above the knee. It seemed to be one consistent tube, but it was white, thin stripe, black, white, thin stripe, black and white. But I'm pretty certain by the looks, it wasn't, the leg that you're seeing through there. And on the left leg, I think, is that light green? That's blue, yellow, blue, I think that one.
Blue, yellow, blue, yeah.
It might. I'll tell you what, guys, because I know Simon Cox is watching, because he's just put a message on saying he's had a female blackcap in his garden today, which is good. So, hi, Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Hey, Simon.
Simon is a bit of an expert on the black-tailed godwit ring. So, I don't know if maybe he can pop in the chat what he thinks of that ring on the right leg of that bird, because it does look a bit unusual, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, I've never seen one quite like. I mean, normally the rings are loose. So they would all be together, like the bird, its left leg, but that's odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got another
if
one
you look on the left-hand side there, far left of the screen, we have another bird. I think I've seen this one before, which is a green over a pale green colour. Because again, it's sometimes these kind of colours wear in the light as well and fade. So you have to really try and tune in an orange above the knee on the over white on the right. But there's actually two birds that had that white black combination, and so I suspect this is quite a recent survey. So I've actually had one of the black-tailed godwit reported in years gone by that was 17 years old. Wow. And it was amazing because they're quite long-lived, and so it's amazing to actually be able to track the journeys that this particular bird had done, particularly from here down to the Portsmouth area and then back up onto its breeding grounds. It was it's fascinating to do. So I'm going to put those ring details into the Jenny Gill and others, and feedback next time what we find from them.
And
I think Steve had an unusual.
Thanks, Matt. When I was at Abberton, I was walking down the Layardella Hay Causeway, and at the northern end, just casually look amongst the vegetation for maybe early gargany or something, and I came across this teal. So it was a female teal, and they have this nasal saddle. So it's obviously with ducks you can't you can't see their legs. So it's quite common on the continent. They put these like nasal saddles over the bill. I mean, I can't say I'm a great fan of them, to be honest with you. I know not a lot of people like these. But yeah, so I sent the record off, managed to read the number and the colour. I thought that was green, but apparently it's light blue. It's just changed a bit. And this bird was from Portugal. I'm still waiting for some final details from the ringers. They've got a bit of a backlog of records to go through, but yeah, really interesting. So worth keeping an eye out if you're out birding for these ringed birds.
I've not seen that before, actually, to be fair. So, I mean, personally, I probably would hope it doesn't take off in this country. I wouldn't want to see too many like that, I don't think, because it does look a bit strange, but yeah, I get it. So yeah, that was just interesting. So yeah. Simon's come back as well. White with 2 black bars was probably from Cork Harbour. There was a similar one at Nistley last year. Green, yellow, green on the right leg are ringed in Old Estuary in Suffolk.
Ah,
so there you go. Thanks,
very
Simon.
interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
It'll be so nice just to get back out to the estuaries again, won't it? In the next, you know, from the end of the month or April onwards. Just
definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely spoilt here where I live, kind of 30 minutes down to the river. Although, as we were talking, Ben and I today on WhatsApp, it still doesn't mean that that I'm not going to miss razorbill, guillemot, great northern diver.
Oh, losing you a bit. Oh, there you go, you're back.
Well, what I did, as I say, what I did see and first in the area is a little ringed plover. We have a first little ringed plover down in East Tilby area on the weekend. And actually today there's been 4 reported locally, so they're on the move back.
Very nice.
And I think we're going to be talking about little ringed plover in a little while, but I'm wondering whether you want to rerun that that quiz or get any feedback from that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
it's been a while.
I haven't seen anyone mention anything yet, so we can leave it a few more minutes, or maybe I'll rerun it in a second.
Your call, mate.
Should we go through little ringed plover?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I've kind of got that ready to go. So I think if I share the screen, hopefully, here we go. So hopefully you can you see that?
Yep.
Got it.
Lovely. So yeah, I mean, basically on the left we've got a ringed plover, and on the right we've got a little ringed plover, and we're just going to, I think all of us were just going to have a quick chat about the main sort of identification points.
So I
what
guess
I've done-
my first question, Matt, would be, where is it? Is it on the coast, salt line, estuary, or is it on a freshwater pool? That would be
Absolutely.
the first indicator, wouldn't it, I think?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, ringed plover tends to be a coastal or a saline water bird. So you don't often see them inland. And the same can be said the other way around for little ringed plover. So little ringed plover are more of an inland bird. So you'll see them on the edges of reservoirs, large bodies of water, sometimes in meadows with water around, anywhere with low vegetation, or maybe some shingle or gravel, because that's the kind of place they like to nest. But I mean, if we see a plover at distance and you've got a half decent view, what are we looking for? So I've kind of done that and thought maybe we could have a chat about what all these red lines mean.
So acupuncture.
Yeah, I went a bit mad on Microsoft Paint. That's what it means. No, so we've got basically, I mean, the first thing that you'd say on a little ringed plover, I think, is the golden ring around the eye.
The eye ring, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a nice plumage adult bird, that should be so prominent that even from distance with binoculars, you should be able to pick it out.
You can usually pick it out, can't you?
Yeah. And even with a scope, you'll definitely get it with a scope, but even with bins, you'll be able to pick it out for definite. Next up, we've got kind of overall structure, I'd say, is probably the next thing you may be looking at. So ringed plover is kind of a dumpier bird, really. It's a bit more chesty. It doesn't look quite as kind of pointy or attenuated at the rear, kind of a rounder look, and tends to look a little bit shorter legged as well, because the little ringed plover is quite slim and it is more attenuated at the rear. You can't really see it from this photograph, but often the tail on the little ringed plover is longer than, a bit longer than the wingtip, whereas on ringed plover not quite so much. And it tends to look longer legged as well on the little ringed plover. You then got the colour of the bill and the legs on ringed plover. Again, on adult birds, you've got the orange bill with the black tip and orange legs, whereas on little ringed plover, you've got a darker bill with the kind of, I don't know, really a sort of a fleshy coloured leg almost. And the bill structure as well. The adult ringed plover, you've got a sort of slightly shorter looking, thicker looking bill, whereas the little ringed plover is a longer, slimmer looking bill. The other lines I've pointed out here, the face pattern on an adult bird, on the ringed plover, it tends to be a rounder shape round here. Whereas on little ringed plover, it's kind of more angular. It's more of a sort of a line with almost a corner, an angle here. So again, if it's a nicely plumaged adult bird, that's something to look for as well. The supercilium on the ringed plover is a little bit more prominent behind the eye, but you don't get you tend not to get the white line between the black on the forehead and the brown of the crown. Yeah,
it gives it a pronounced cap, doesn't it? The little ringed plover.
LRP's got this white line that kind of continues evenly, really, from behind the eye right the way through, in between the black and the brown here. And the chest stripe, again, not always, but usually on ringed plover, it's a little bit thicker than on little ringed plover as well. So those are the main points. But I mean, guys, when you see a plover, what's the first thing that you're kind of looking for in the field?
Same as you said there, the little ringed plover, that eye ring just glows.
Look for the eye ring straight away, and then that black beak running into the black band. And again, that little cap, that I'm looking for that white black, black white black white, and then the cap. But they to be honest, last year I learnt the call of little ringed plover, and that has just helped immensely, because even if they're on gravel pits where they generally turn up at this time of year, they can be incredibly tricky to pick out. You can literally be on one, lift your head, tell somebody where you've got to look back and you've lost it. They are really well camouflaged, despite they look, like they stand out like a sore thumb with all that banding going on.
So again, just another little fun thing for anyone that's watching. Obviously, I've done a silhouette of two. These are different birds, by the way, and they're not necessarily in the same order as before. That might be a clue. It might be a red herring. But one is a ringed plover, one's a little ringed plover. So just want to see what people think. I'll kind of leave that there just for a couple of seconds, and then we'll come back to it in a moment and just reveal. But hopefully, it should be relatively
brilliant,
straightforward. I like that. Really good.
That's really good. Well done, Matt.
And obviously,
you could, go on.
And with little ringed plover and ringed plover, if you see them in flight, so ringed plover has a nice big white wing bar, and little ringed plover doesn't have a wing bar. So that's always a good pointer as well.
But the ringed plovers, again, I had one last year, just standing in a location where little ringed plovers are, and just standing all alone, and it needed a second look, because they do nest around Essex, and so you might just find an individual one, because more often than not down here on Thames estuary, you'll actually see a flock of little ringed plover, even up to a couple of hundred of them on mucking flats from time to time. So they can be a bit tricky. I was going to say, if you want to keep that up, Matt, you could have that screenshot and still maybe play your calls if you want. Let's try it anyway.
That, because I think it's hopefully fairly straightforward. So that's the picture. And well, what do you think, guys?
Well, ringed plover on the left, that dumpier bird.
Yeah, I've got that thin beak, longer beak for me on the right, little ringed plover.
Again, it's not too difficult, but I think at Abberton Reservoir you do get both species.
Absolutely, and because ringed plovers, some birds winter much further south than here, like in Africa. And they tend to be of a different race, the Arctic race. So they pass through places like Abberton, Hanningfield in the spring. and they tend to be even chunkier than our resident birds. So yeah, always worth checking them out.
It can be tricky at Abberton from a distance if you get one, and you know, because they all feed in the same manner, don't they? They kind of walk and stop and get. So it can be tricky sometimes, and juveniles as well. I was going to put some juvenile pictures up, but the two Steves rightly pointed out that you're very unlikely to see juveniles this time of year. It's going to be in the autumn.
But if you do, you're probably looking at a very special bird, which would be a Kentish plover, wouldn't it? You know, which do arrive from time to time.
Yeah.
And I need one for my life list. So it's actually a target bird for me this year, hopefully. That I might even travel a little bit to twitch one. But yeah, kind of the guys locally that have seen them. In fact, I know Paul Wood found one a few years back down at Tilbury Power Station on the mud there. They kind of tipped me off and said, if ever you see what looks like a juvenile ringed plover in springtime, then take a second look, because you're probably onto a Kentish. And
the Naze is a really good place as well. Those sandy beach out towards Stone Point. I know, you know, I wouldn't say they're annual, but they turn up every few years.
I think it's one of the target birds for Wallasey Island, big nature reserve there, that they want to try and draw in, because they, on the other side of the North Sea, they're quite, you know, prolific, aren't they?
Yep.
I was going to say, I've got a Steve pinged across. I can't remember whose picture this is, Steve.
Pete Meadows. Pete Merchant, sorry, not Meadows. Pete Merchant.
Cool. So yeah, thanks, Pete. And this is a Jove Kentish. And I must admit, I'm not particularly familiar with the identification points, but I think the breast band doesn't meet in the middle. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got that sort of the sides. Have you got that male there that I sent over, Matt?
I don't think I've got it to hand, but you might be able to bring it up quicker than me.
Well, Matt's looking, Steve. Big shout out to Paul Wood, who 2 years ago took the record for the first little ringed plover. And again, I've got a shout out to East Tilbury, of course, which is where it turned up on the 2nd of March. That's the earliest record, I think. And that was actually recorded and presented in the recent bird report that the Society have put out. And so if you are wanting to know more about those kinds of details of arrival of birds and things like that, then get your hands on a copy of that from the Essex Birdwatching Society website. Pete Dwyer would be the person to contact, and I think are they £10, the bird report?
Yeah, £10. Yeah, really good value.
Great value.
Yeah, brilliant publication. Mo's just texted, so hi Mo, thanks very much. And she said they've got a farm over towards Alresford, and their first lapwing nest has got 4 eggs in it.
Wow. Brilliant. Hey. Well done.
So, and there's just a quick shot while we're talking of a male Kentish plover.
Kentish plover, lovely.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, this was taken in Fuerteventura last year, not in the UK. But yeah, it's like incomplete breast band. And the males have got this lovely sort of brown cap with the black forehead.
Yeah, much less black on the face as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they're very, very pale. Especially at a distance, they just shine.
Oh, lovely.
And yeah, so that's worth looking out for.
Rocking bird, one to look for.
Yep.
And if you see one, let me know quick.
Sorry, is it similar structure to LRP?
Obviously after lockdown, after unlock.
Yeah, sorry about it. Yeah, it's slightly longer legs and slim. It's quite a slim bird. So more LRP structure than.
Okay. Talking about dates, Steve, you just mentioned dates of things. Shall I share that the rare bird alert table? You've got arrival dates, haven't you, from the BTO of so hopefully this
are they the average arrival, or they?
Well, I think what this is I mean, it's obviously not complete yet, but this came through on my emails the other day, and it's quite interesting actually, because it's going through, I think there was 50 or 55 migrant species, and it's showing on the column here, that's the average date that they've arrived between 2002 and 2020. And then just here, you've got this year's first arrival date. Now, obviously, lots of them haven't been seen yet, of course, but consistently, if I just scroll down the page slowly, you'll see that I think every single species is arriving earlier, some significantly earlier by 2-3 weeks or more. So there wasn't one species on that list that I could see that had arrived later than the average, or even on the average. Everything's coming in earlier. So again, I don't know if that's an indication of climate change and everything's getting warmer, and I don't know, but it's really quite interesting.
I saw on Red Bird Alert today there was a swift seen.
Yes.
On the Isle of Wight today.
Off Portland or somewhere. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's March. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. Very early. And wasn't there a stone curlew a number of weeks ago down in Hampshire or down the south coast somewhere?
Yeah, that's on that list, I think.
Harbour, wasn't it? I think.
It was 21st of February in Farlington, in Hampshire.
Yeah, crazy. Amazing. But that was kind of, during those southerly winds, wasn't it? Kind of, that came up off the Sahara. So whether that picked up again sometimes, but again, that it is almost, evidence now that global or climate change and things like that, the warming of the springs and the data's out there, and earlier springs, whether it be flowers and butterflies or birds, it's having an effect, and birds are adjusting according to it. But in that, there's some winners and there's some losers, isn't there?
Yeah,
absolutely. Most definitely. Just on a gargany, there was a gargany reported at Bowers Marsh this week, which is again another bird to look out for right now, the ducks.
Absolutely. Got some more messages here on YouTube. So Simon Cox again, the medgull ring that you showed looks like a Darvik and should have a 3 or 4 digit code.
Okay.
If it's recorded, check on CR-birding website to find the scheme.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have a look.
That's useful info. Thanks.
It looked like it had either a T or a Y on that I could see, but that was about the only letter I could make out, Simon. But I'll definitely, check that out and forward the picture and see whether they can make anything.
I was wondering, obviously on waders, you got all the colour combinations. Obviously, they've got longer legs, and their legs tend to be visible as well. But is there, a similar thing for gulls? Do they have coloured rings on gulls or any other species at all? Or because it can be tricky to read a ring sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly with medgulls. I mean, in fact, they won't say colour rings, but they certainly put Darvik rings on herring gulls, lesser blackback gulls, great blackback gulls.
They're a bit easier, aren't they? So, yeah.
Medgulls, and obviously the bigger the gull, the bigger the ring, and the easier it is to read.
I used the term Darvik before for the waders. Darvik wings, are they the ones with the actual letters on, Steve? Just to confirm if I made a mistake there.
Yeah.
Good.
The big letters,
Apologies for that.
Daryl Rhyme said he's seen several pochard with nasal saddles at Abberton, and from memory, he thinks they were ringed in France.
Okay.
Lac de Grand Lieu. There you go. That's my French. Brilliant.
Yeah, funny enough, that teal, I thought it was French from the colour, and I emailed the French ringing lady, and she came back and said it wasn't one of hers, so I got that wrong. But yeah, that CR birding website, colouring website, really worth looking at that.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
Jonathan Norgate has put 6th at Fingering Hoe pits this year. So I don't know if that's LRP.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Nice.
I've not had one yet.
Good.
Me neither.
I'm just thinking, guys, we've been going an hour. Let's talk about what people might be able to see. We've had some raptors passing through. First ospreys back at Rutland, so definitely keep your eyes open as the weather's calmed. I think there's a little bit more of a northerly kind of breeze and flow, but then I think later in the week it swings around to Atlantic type weather, which might kind of push things kind of from a southerly direction and assist. But what else, Steve, do you think we ought to be looking out for? And then we'll
certainly red kites. I mean, it's that prime time now, March, April. A lot of Scandinavian red kites are making their way back, and so keep an eye out for red kites. We get a southerly airflow, might get an early hobby. Early April maybe.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, there was, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but Ed Keeble put on the WhatsApp group earlier today that there was a white-tailed eagle reported at Stowe Market.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the report of that. Yeah. And yeah, white-tailed eagle. I mean, was it this time last year? There was one that was doing the rounds.
Yeah.
Over Wivenhoe, Abberton. So, yeah, worth looking.
Yeah, I think there has been one kind of East Midlands for a few weeks, or certainly days last week. I saw a report of it, and if it follows the trend of last year, it'll probably track back towards the Isle of Wight or something like that.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is obviously displaying raptors and sparrowhawks displaying. We had peregrine displaying locally and calling. One of the locals was asking me, "What's that bird squealing?" Da 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 da. The joy of telling us, pair of peregrines flying together and displaying, which is he was amazed at, you know. But we actually had in the south of the county, not East Tilbury, but in the south, a goshawk reported over a woodland. Now, always a tricky one, goshawk, particularly with sparrowhawks displaying. And some birds like that, you probably need a photograph, ideally, if you can get a photograph of it to really pinpoint it for the panel to really confirm, because they are, quite often mistaken.
If anyone's out and they do find nesting peregrines or goshawks, please do not make the locations public on social media or that sort of thing. Best way to send a record to the EBS county recorder, Mick Tracy. His contact details are on our website. But yeah, keep it confidential. There are still a lot of egg collectors out there, and so be aware of that.
Go on, Matt.
Sorry, I was going to say Matt Lonsdale said that he thinks there was the returning Kentish plover at the Naze in 2017, 18 and 19, but not last year, we don't think. Although obviously I think Daryl wasn't necessarily at the Naze as much as normal last year, of course, with the lockdowns. So who knows, but I don't think it was reported last year. We've also got Andy Goody. So he's put suggestions in for the bird songs earlier, and he seems to have got all 6 species right, and he seems to have got them in the right order as well. So that's very good. Well done.
Good job, mate.
Very good. I used to lead dawn choruses back at Abberton in the day, so he's still got it.
Yeah.
Just to recap on what we were talking about there, as we're coming into breeding season, not just for raptors but other birds as well. It's actually a wildlife crime to disturb a bird that's nesting, and so for those that may be watching, the gardeners and things like that, you really need to be kind of stopping the clipping the hedges and things like that kind of very soon, if not now, and certainly checking before getting all that sorted in the next couple of days. But then kind of when you're out and about, owls don't report nesting owls either. I got the shock of my life talking to kind of an owl bird of prey centre and finding out that owls sell for about £1,800. And so you see that temptation to take an egg or even a nestling, a branchling, very, very easy targets. And so keep that information just kind of to yourself, and just report it in either after the breeding season, which is what I often do, or put photographs up later on in the year, but without the location, and also, as I say, get the word into me. But any other birds, little ringed plovers, again, they're a Schedule 2, isn't it? Red listed bird.
Schedule 1, yeah.
Schedule 1.
Yeah.
So just kind of this time of year we have to be cautious in terms of what we're reporting, where birds are paired as well. But it does give you an opportunity to get involved in breeding bird surveys, which the BTO do. You've just done that, haven't you, Matt? Just signed up for that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, well, actually, just going back very briefly to little ringed plovers. If you do see a little ringed plover and you're not sure whether it's a kind of a breeding bird or not, It's a little known fact, but little ringed plovers, when they are in breeding plumage, they actually have about 8 legs. So if I just show you this picture, as you can see.
Stunning.
So yeah, there you go. But yeah, back to the breeding bird. Yeah, I've this year I sort of decided to try and do something with the Birdsong spotting. So I'm going to take part in the Turtledove Survey, which I think we're going to touch on later on. But breeding bird survey, there was a square come up round the corner from me, just at Ardley. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of have a go. So it looks like I've got 1 kilometre square. I've got to go and check it out. I'm going to give the guy that did the square before me a call as well. But the idea is, I think you make 1 visit early morning, maybe in sort of late April or May, and then no more than 4 weeks. No more than 4 weeks later. No, less than 4 weeks later. Sorry. You go back again and do the same thing again, and just record the species that you see and hear, what they were doing, or even if you don't see or hear anything, it's all valuable data. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Good. What do you think, guys? Should we go back to the quiz and let everybody else have a go and try and catch?
We've had one more. Jan Lewis said the warblers from earlier. She said they're all the same. So to be fair, I think, in all honesty, about 2 or 3 years ago, I would have absolutely 100% agreed with you, and I think I'd have probably been like this and not take any notice of them.
Two of them still are for me.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Matt Lonsdale as well. Just before we play them, he said coloured ring combinations. He thinks he's seen some on little turns. So again, that's something to look out for.
Yeah, good call.
So with because I know time's ticking. With these sounds, shall we just go through them and say what they are?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
As we do it. So hold on a second. Let me just see if I can work it out again. Right. It's here somewhere. Here we go. So the first one is Chiff Chaff.
Yep.
Much sweeter than a great tit, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like a cuckoo, really. It's onomatopoeic, I think is the right word. I've probably got that right.
Nice.
Which means that it sings its own name, basically. Yeah. So it's going Chiff Chaff, Chiff Chaff. So there you go. That's that one. Second one, I think was Willow Warbler from memory.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always imagine that to be a waterfall, water trilling down.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, Willow Warbler, when I started trying to learn birdsong, and I had the emphasis on trying, Willow Warbler was a bird that I used to sometimes get confused with chaffinch, because they both kind of got that descending scale, but the chaffinch doesn't sound as sweet, and it's got the little sort of
squidgy-doo.
Yeah, squidgy-doo, which the Willow Warbler doesn't have. Right, third one, I can't remember. Was it Whitethroat?
Whitethroat.
Yeah. Common Whitethroat.
Scratchy.
These are the two I struggle with.
Again, just a kind of a fairly short phrase and very scratchy. But
they also do that electricity buzz, don't they? Zzz.
Yeah, I mean, the other bird that sounds a bit similar, I suppose, is Dartford Warbler. I'm sure there's others too, but Whitethroat is probably it's got a different phrasing to Dartford. It's a slightly more melodic, if I can say that, I suppose. Next one was Lesser Whitethroat.
Let's see, there's
yeah, that little rattle, like a rattle.
Yeah. The rattle I think the rattle tends to be the only thing you kind of hear really when you hear them.
Yeah.
Unless you're close. But I remember at Fingering Her a few years back, I did I think it might have been a dawn chorus with Steve Grimwade actually, and it's the first time I've met Steve. And I remember we walked out of the visitor centre and he started calling out all these birds that he could hear, and I was thinking, well, I can't even hear anything. And then he called a grey wagtail flying over, and I was like, how did you do that? And then this rattling sound came from a hedge, and he was Lesser Whitethroat, and I thought, this is like magic, some kind of black art that he's doing. So I kind of bought CDs, and yeah, that's what really got me interested in trying to learn birdsong a little bit. Next one.
You found out I was wrong.
Oh, sorry.
You found out I was wrong.
Right, so next one's Black Cap. So Black Cap.
Yeah, lovely.
black cap again, phrasing, but it's a really sort of rich, fluty sound. It's
cheery little song.
Yeah, and I think the end of black cap always sounds really cheerful, like he's sort of walking along and having a little bit of a dance or something. So really makes you feel happy, a black cap song, I think. And then the last one is one that I did find really confusing up until about a couple of years ago, and it's garden warbler. And it can sound quite similar to black cap, but tends to last, you know, the phrasing tends to last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Phrases are sort of 7-8 seconds quite often. And it just tends not to have those sort of rich, fluty notes that the black cap has. And there you go.
It's slightly blackbird-like as well.
Yeah, kind of like a cross almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you say it's a little bit more scratchy as well? It's kind of scratchy.
Yeah.
Tones.
But yeah, well done, Andy Goody.
Great job.
Yeah, very good.
Top man.
Yeah. Good.
So well.
So we better do optics, and then we've got some big news for the Rookery Survey, and we'll talk about the Turtledove Survey as well. But let's go on to optics, guys, should we? Who's going to start?
Oh, I'll let you.
Me?
Yeah, go for it.
Well,
you can kick it off.
Okay. I've actually got something that's a bit special. No one's got this particular binocular, I tell you, or monocular. There you go.
Wow.
I actually lost a sight in my eye when I was a kid. And I contacted Swarovski a few years ago to ask them, I wanted a binocular with a wide angle view, and just ask for advice. And nothing, I just thought they'd tell me which binocular would give me the best, you know, chance, because I'm literally only using half a binocular. And they said, we'd like to make something for you. And they actually said, would you be interested in that? We have a, you know, kind of spares and broken binoculars. And one of their engineers actually put this together for me, which is a 7x40. It's the old Poro, because the Poro actually gives you a wider angle field of view slightly. And they put that together for me and didn't even charge me the postage. I was absolutely blown away. So, you know, that tells you a lot about the company. I know this stuff's quite expensive, as optics are, but that really, and that for me is super special. Again, I hate the fact of carrying two lenses and a double around, just the weight. I'm often doing long walks and even cycling. My wife and I cycled up the Hebrides and bird watching and nature watching, and this, you know, is half a pair of binoculars, isn't it? So it's absolutely brilliant. So but because it's so special to me and I use it more when I'm traveling, I actually have bought a used pair from Clyde of the, I think it's the SLD, is it SLC? So I've got the focusing at the back, which is not the, you know, not totally brilliant. It's a second, but I get away with it. But these are an 8x30 and really bright. But just before that, for anybody who's, you know, starting out, these were an absolute bargain. These are Celestian HD binoculars, HD glass, and they are a 9x33. They're a 9x33 ED. And my wife uses these, and these actually match up very closely in sight to these.
Right.
I prefer the 8 because, again, it gives them that slightly wider field of view. This is a 9. She loves them. Really sharp focusing. She's had them 2 years now, and we got these for about 200 quid. I think they retail about 300. We got them from Costco. So, you know, if you're more the budget end, then there's some great stuff available, and that will last. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Who's next?
Go on, Steve.
So yeah, my bins, I've got a pair of Swarovski ELs. They're 8x32s, and because I wear glasses, they're superb, lovely and bright. you know, have the eye cups folded back, lovely bright binoculars, and also they're really light as well. So if you've been out in the field all day and you've got these around your neck, you don't know they're there, because that's, you know, you don't want to come back with a stiff neck or anything like that. So yeah, I love these, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, and then sort of scope wise, I have a Swarovski, it's an 85. I don't know what model it is, to be fair. I think it's an ATX, I think it is.
ATS.
The angled, yeah.
ATS. And I've got a new eyepiece. Annette bought me this eyepiece for my birthday. It's the new, well, I say new, it's 2550 zoom. So I've yet to try that out, but can't wait to try that. But yeah, so that's my recommendations. Just a little tip though, if you've got a scope, always, this has got like a sun shield, rain shield. Always keep it pulled out, so if it ever falls over, it doesn't hit the glass.
Yes.
So my little tip there. But yeah, I mean, I love Swarovski stuff. As Steve said, they're just brilliant. I mean, the after sales service is second to none. Obviously, I don't get paid to advertise these, but you know, but if they want to send me a new pair, thank you very much.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's me.
Well, I'm again fairly similar, really. So I've got a pair of Swaros. I've got the 8.5 42s. I went with the 42s purely because the bigger objective just gives you a bit more light, and it also gives you a bigger exit pupil as well. So what that means is you won't be able to see it on the camera, but it's the little circle of light, or you can just about see it. There you go, little circle of light that actually hits your eye, and you work it out by dividing the magnification into the objective. So 8.5 into 42 is just under 5 mil of exit pupil, and it just makes it easier to position the binoculars on your eye compared to smaller exit pupil. Although the trade-off, of course, it's a bit bigger and a bit heavier. So I decided to, instead of having the strap, because like Steve said, it after a day it does sort of, you know, play on the back of your neck a little bit. So I got the I think it's a Rick, I can't remember his surname, Rick Young, I think it might be. And it's a binocular harness. It's basically elasticated bungee cord. And you can kind of have it however you want. You can have it as a normal strap. You can put your arms through both sides like so. You can have, what I do is I have one arm through the harness, and then the other side I put around as a strap, because then that way the binocular hangs slightly off center. And then with the scope, because this is actually Mick Woodruff sent us an email, and he was asking basically how do we carry our stuff around in the field. So with my scope, I've bought a couple of just a length of pipe lagging, because what I was finding is it felt hard on my shoulder and it was slipping off as well. So pipe lagging gives it grip. Just a couple of so
you're carrying it up on top of your shoulder, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I kind of set it so that the arm for the scope is kind of pretty much locked almost, and then that goes around the neck, and then this goes on my shoulder, so it's nice and comfy. And when the feet are extended, I can actually, well, I can do it now, and it doesn't fall off. So you can still use your bins. I can still bring these up. The strap doesn't get in the way of the tripod. And when the legs are extended, you can have it down literally in a second or two to get on a bird if you need to. I did used to use this, which again is something that Mick's mentioned. It's similar to a mule pack. You can get various things like this. Yes, you've got one too.
There's mine.
And the idea is, I won't do it now, but you put your legs of your tripod, one goes through here, one goes through here, one goes at the top here. So this effectively is attached to your tripod. There's also storage on it as well. A couple of little pouches. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Steve. Brilliant. And it becomes like a rucksack. So it's a brilliant way if you're walking any distance before you're going to need to use your scope. It's a fantastic way to carry the scope around without really feeling the weight of it at all. But of course, it does take longer to get the scope off and set up.
Yeah, set up and lock.
The final thing I wanted to show everyone is I've got this is kind of my car pair. So I don't necessarily want to carry around all the, sort of optics if you're going to be not really birding as such, because it's not the most sensible thing to leave in the car. The other thing with this, by the way, I found it's really easy just to wrap it around and ping it on, and it keeps it nice and neat. my car pair, it's a little pair of Pentax Papilio, they're called, and they are a 6.5 times magnification, and they've only got a 21mm objective, so they're not the brightest in the world, but they're pretty sharp.
Yeah.
But the good thing with these is they can focus down to about 18 inches.
Wow.
And the way it does it, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but as you focus closer, you can't really see it on the camera. Yeah, the objectives actually move together. So you probably know yourself with normal binoculars, if you're trying to look at a butterfly, you have to kind of bring them closer together to still get the round circle.
Yeah.
But with these, and you can, get so close, you know, you can get really, really, I mean, literally, I'm focused on the camera here. Wow. And I could actually, in fact, hang on a minute, this might scare some people. There you go. So I'm that close to my camera and I'm in focus on it. So for watching bugs or looking at flowers, you know, moss, lichen, anything like that at all, it's literally like having a magnifying glass or even a pocket microscope, but in a pair of binoculars. So
what make were they again, Matt?
Right, they're made by a company called Pentax.
Pentax, yeah.
They're called Papilios. These are the Papilio 2s, which
are still available.
Yeah, I mean, they're about 100 quid, so they're not massively expensive.
Great stuff.
They're reverse poros, so it just means that just to set your distance between your eyes, you just kind of do that basically, similar to a normal pair of binoculars. This is all static. They're not waterproof or anything, but they're fully multi-coated, so it means that it doesn't reflect much of the light. You know, most of the light gets to your eye. The only thing I would say with glasses, they've got 15mm of eye relief, which is this measurement here. So you have to have them wound right down to where with glasses, and you can just see the full field of view with my glasses anyway. So that's the only thing just to be careful of. But anyone that likes watching bugs, you know, butterflies,
very good. And
don't forget, you can still use them as a normal pair of bins as well. So they're really good, and they're available in 8.5 times magnification too. They're really good.
In terms of scopes, we started off, my wife and I, birding and just kind of, you know, gradually got into it. We got a 60mm Nikon scope, and then we went for an 82, which is the ED82. And this I don't think is available new. They've moved on. I'm not a fan really of the latest Nikon stuff, and I spoke to them at the bird fair a few years ago and said, look, you need to really kind of work out systems that will digiscope, which this particular system works well for me. It's got the hood, as Steve said, but these you can buy secondhand or used from, you know, reputable retailers. Great scope for around about the £400–500 I would think this particular scope would be. What is good about it, the eyepieces fit in other scopes, and particularly one, none of you will have seen one like that, will you? Well, you've seen half of it, you've maybe seen both parts of it, but look what I've done there. This was just something that happened randomly. Last summer we went down to Cornwall sea watching, and my wife uses this, which is this section's again a Nikon ED50. This is still sold, cracking, very, very popular, small scope, really lightweight, great for my wife to carry around, and great when we're again cycling up the Hebrides or wherever, because it just fits in. But I also had a Lumix camera which had an adapter. The adapter is called the DMW LT55, and it actually magnifies the lens 1.7 times, and it's the same thread as the Nikon. So I wouldn't walk around with it and go birding generally, but for when you just go to a one-off sea watch, or you need something that goes a little bit further, this actually gives the same level of magnification as this, and the same light. This particular scope you pick up secondhand, probably around about £200, maybe £300. I think about 400 or 500 new. This particular unit, which just screws off like that, this coupler is about 170 quid new from Lumix Panasonic. So, you know, if that kind of, you know, helps you kind of want something lightweight, travel and whatever, but just the option if you want to look somewhere, you know, further, then that's been a great find for us. Regarding bags, again, I've had a number of people ask me, what's that bag? I've wanted one with, can actually put something in it, not just a drink. This is a military type rucksack available on eBay and things like that. Loads of webbing. And you get these nylon S-clips. These fit perfectly on a tripod. Click, click, 2 bottoms, 1 around the neck of your tripod. I use a harness just as a lanyard, but then I can put sleeping bag underneath or bivvy bag. And last summer, during the kind of free little window we had during the summer, my wife and I had a night up on the Pennines and walked out to see the Lammergeier with this kind of kit, you know, and a little kind of compact sleeping bag and whatever we needed for a night on the hills. Just the kind of thing we do. If you're that way inclined, then you can actually fit something up yourself that will be effective. So those are my tips.
Brilliant. Yeah, but I think.
So I was going to say that did a really good article.
Absolutely.
In Essex Birding magazine, the latest edition, all about optics. So if you want to know more, then check out the article.
Yeah, I mean, basically in terms of kind of recommendations, that probably the only thing I'd say is that try and use something before you make the purchase. Obviously at the moment it's not necessarily ideal, but everyone's eyes are different. Everyone has got different requirements. You don't have to buy the top of the range optics to enjoy bird watching. I mean, somebody, I think Andy Goody has actually just put on here, Lidl and Aldi sometimes do low price bins for sort of £20 or so. Really good for spares or in the car. You can get a decent pair of bins for, you know, under £100, and they will enable you to see stuff that you can't see without them. So it's really you know, down to you what you want to go with. Lower magnification tends to give you a bigger depth of field, so it might be easier to follow birds through woodland, and it also it's easier to hold steady as well. Higher mag, obviously it's the opposite. You get a reduced depth of field, usually reduced field of view as well, and they amplify the handshake. But of course you can get tripods for binoculars, you can get image stabilized binoculars. So much stuff out there, there really is. Matt Lonsdale has also mentioned, I mean, he said he's got a pair of 10x42 Swarrows, so they're great, really good mag, and obviously nice 4.2mm exit pupil, so really easy to use. But he's mentioned the BTO equipment donation scheme.
Oh, I'm pleased he has. I had that on my list.
Well done.
So the BTO will actually take used equipment that people kind of upgraded or whatever and donate it on your behalf to younger birders, particularly, or those that, you know, kind of are looking to start out. And I think that's a great thing. If you're a younger birder, then, you know, make inquiries even with other companies as well. Some of them will help you out. Also, Zeiss, they actually do a loan opportunity for you to actually try their binoculars for a couple of days free. You do have to pay a deposit, but, you know, before you buy, particularly if you're paying quite a bit of money out, you want to kind of have a good look at them and check them out. And so you could even take them away on a holiday. I think you have to pay kind of a loan fee for beyond 2 days. And then I was going to say about Clyde Spire, a good shop up in Norfolk, and In Focus I've found to be a good kind of retailer. I think they're based around in Willow Park, I think it is, North London area, just off the A1.
You've got Viking Optics.
Viking
as well,
They're not that far away. One thing I was going to really quickly say, I think Steve mentioned earlier on about the Swarovski service. I've actually had to send these back twice. Once because they got a bit of moisture inside, which they shouldn't do. The second time I basically dropped them on a concrete floor and put them out of collimation. And both times they were back within 10 days and I wasn't charged a penny. So they're really good. Also on the YouTube, Jan Lewis, I do apologise. I think I said Jan Lewis earlier on. I'm so sorry. So I'm assuming it's Jan Lewis. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. But he has said optics-wise, he'd recommend 8x42, which I think is a really good combination because it's good mag, not too difficult to hold steady, really good light. And he said go for the maximum field of view that you can get, and then ideally just go for the best that you can afford. And one thing I would say is look at the second-hand market. You know, look on eBay. Most of the optics dealers will have a range of second-hand binoculars as well. So, you know, depending on your budget, if your budget is limited, It's always better to spend a couple of £100 on a second-hand pair, because you're going to get a lot more for your money. And if you buy from a dealer, you're going to get a guarantee. So if there's any problems with it, you'll be able to take them back.
Yeah, and the beauty of being part of a bird club is, you know, people are generally upgrading things. As I say, my wife and I will be looking to kind of step up on our telescope. But I've just got the poll back that I've put out on Twitter, and the majority option of specifications come back as 8x42, 45% of 49 people have voted today on that. 8x32, 20%. 10x42, 31%, and 10x50, 4%. Ooh. So, you know, it's not kind of, you know, really distant, is it, in terms of what's the most popular? 8x32 to 10x42, there's, you know, pretty tight range there.
The only thing I would say regarding the 10x50, just to give it a little bit of a shout out, although I've not got a pair myself, but if you're doing sea watching, or you know, you're going to watch over a body of water such as Abberton Reservoir, and you want to do so early in the day or later in the evening, the 50mm objective lets loads of light in. You've got a 6.25mm exit pupil, so again, all of that light's going to hit your eye. And you've got the 10 times mag, which just gives you that little bit of extra power. So the downside to 1050s, obviously they're big, they're heavy, they're not ideal to carry around all day, but depending on your use, they can, you know, govern what you need. Matt Lonsdale's also said that the BTO will take unwanted books and scopes for the BTO bin scheme, and schools, scout groups, or youngsters without binoculars get in touch. So if anyone watches this, or is watching this, that is a you know, member of a scout group or a school maybe, or just a you know, youth group, and you need some bird watching equipment, get in touch with the BTO. It's a really good scheme.
Yeah, and also if you've got, you know, equipment that you've now kind of outgrown, or you know, it's become redundant, then you know, consider being generous and offering that up for somebody to, you know, really appreciate and make use of. One thing I did want to come back to that we've not covered is straight and angle scopes. You two guys are both angle scopes.
Yeah.
You notice mine is straight.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the one that use angle scopes, because apparently tall people, it's, you know, easier to look down, you know, rather than to look straight. But for me, just kind of fixing on a bird, particularly in flight, with a straight scope is much easier. And what I do, and again, next time we're going to talk about cameras and photography and our kit and what we do there, and digiscoping a little bit as well. I actually use my telescope on the tripod for birds in flight and things like that with my camera. And I'm not sure these two guys are going to be able to do that with a camera with an angle scope, are you?
We'll see. No.
I'll tell you something. I hadn't used my scope for probably 3 months until very recently, because obviously, you know, we weren't really meant to be bird watching, so I felt going out with a scope would have been the wrong thing to do. And I took it out recently, and it took me a little while to get back into practice of actually getting it lined up on a bird. So I think the straight through scopes are definitely easier to line up. But obviously the idea of an angle scope is, I think it's more, if you want to watch something up in the sky, it's obviously a little bit easy. You don't have to have a scope so high up to do so. But yeah, it's interesting, definitely.
It also keeps you, if you've got your scope lower, it's windy, it just stops shake and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Good. I've had a couple of messages. Sorry, Matt.
Sorry, no, go on. Sorry, messages.
I've had a couple of messages from Steve Wilkinson, who's messaging. So good evening, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
He says a couple of points. He uses an Optech harness for his bins. So American harness, a bit like yours, Matt, but more like a webbing strap.
Nice.
It saves and prevents back and neck ache. And he uses a pair of Zeiss Terra EDs, 10x42s, which he recommends.
Good.
And also he said that a white-tailed eagle was spotted in Essex yesterday, over Malden.
Wow.
Oh.
Apparently there was a report, an independent report by at least 2 people saw it flying over Malden at high tide yesterday.
Don't tell Simon.
Simon Wood will be pricking his ears up, that one.
So
I was going to say, just in terms of angle scopes, before we finish there, there certainly seems to be more angle scopes about. So if you are looking for something used and you can get into the angle scope mode, then you'll probably find more availability there. And then the other thing for Mick Woodruff regarding carrying stuff, I would recommend they have these neoprene. I carry my telescope on a strap over my shoulder, telescope under my arm, and they have a neoprene strap. There's a company called Matin that do them. Again, I picked one up from eBay, and they actually kind of flex, so they shock absorb, and also because they're neoprene, they stick onto your coat. My nylon Swarovski strap is forever falling off my shoulder, particularly when I'm wearing kind of a Gore-Tex rainproof. And this neoprene is more rubberized and sticks better. Just a little tip.
Okay, so I've got a little tip and also got a question as well. So a little tip, first of all, if you're out in the field and you need a magnifying glass, if you turn your binoculars around, this works with roof prism and the Poro prism as well, and all you need to do is basically look through the wrong end of the binocular. You hold your what you want to look at really, quite close to the eyepiece, and it kind of acts as a pretty rudimentary magnifying glass, but it does work. So if you're wanting detail on a plant or a leaf or a flower, obviously, I wouldn't recommend trying it on bugs because you'd probably have to get too close to them, but depending on what it is, you probably could.
I can thank, sorry, Matt, just to come in there.
Yeah.
Thank Adrian Webb, who tipped me off. It's a great tool, and he uses a great photographer for the back of his camera to look at the focus on his little screen on the back of the camera. Turn your binoculars round, and you can get in, because all of us have taken a photograph and thought, oh, that's a corker on a little screen, but when we put it on a computer, it's just slightly out.
Yeah. Also, Les Malloy has said, guys, what tripod heads do we use?
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
Good question.
My tripod is a Manfrotto 55 carbon tripod, which is like a 3-section tripod. So 3-section doesn't collapse down as small as a 4-section, but it tends to be a little bit more stable. And again, another little tip as well, you probably already know this, but if it is really windy, don't extend the legs. Just have it like this if you can. Obviously, it's lower to the ground, and you'll just need to kneel down, but it means it's a lot more stable.
Yeah.
The head that I use is the 128.
The 128, isn't it, Manfrotto? Yeah, that's the standard.
Yeah, pretty much all that, I think.
Yeah.
I've
I've also used Velbon tripods and heads, and Elaine, my wife, has a Velbon. The thing of note there is the Swarovski actually have a foot on their telescope that fits directly into the Manfrotto.
So little demo there. So basically, just go straight in. There you go, done.
Yeah.
Whereas mine, I have to put the adapter on, and it does come loose. Some people use kind of a quick lock type lubricant on it, but
mine, I have to use the adapter on mine because I mount my scope the wrong way around on the head. And the reason I do that is because I actually use my left eye, and using my left eye, this handle got in the way. It kind of was hitting me here. So I've had to swing the handle so it's on the left side, which means the head's back to front. So I've just got an adapter plate and I pop it on. But the reason I use my left eye, when I bought it, I was using my right eye because my right eye is my dominant eye. And I was thinking to myself, it's good, but it doesn't seem like pin sharp. And I kind of realized my left eye is actually, although it's not my dominant eye, it's my sharper eye. So I just switched eyes and it made it much sharper. So again, a little tip, if somebody has got weird eyes like me, always try both because you might find it looks better through one than the other.
I've never had that option, but if I was Matt, I'd just take the handle off and put it on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Good. Well, that's brilliant. Again, as Steve said, Essex Birding Journal. Matt's done, as you can tell from tonight with his exit pupil info, Matt has done a fantastic piece in there. £5 for the journal, or become a member and you get that free along with the bird report, and get more detailed information than we can really share tonight. But I think we've done that justice, guys. Any other questions, then please get them in, and thanks for sharing those that have, as I say, there's no one way. It's what really fits for you. And to be perfectly honest, that'll come from practice. You know, you get in there and you get one or two things that don't fit right. I had an angle scope for a while and changed back to the straight, but you'll, with practice, you'll find what fits. Good. What we're going to do now? Survey.
Yeah.
Quickly.
You've got some big news.
We have got to say a huge thank you to everybody that has got involved in the Rookery Survey. I reported to the executive committee on Tuesday night that we had 40 responses or thereabouts, and we were absolutely delighted by that. I later got home to find out that there'd actually been double that number of responses that had gone into my spam, and we actually had 80 responses. And then last night, the number was 127 responses. Howard may actually have a few more that have come in from the East London Bird Forum, or that have actually come directly to him by email. But as a result of that, Chris Cater contacted me and said, would it be possible to have the grid references or a map so we know what areas have been covered and actually can go and, you know, look in areas that haven't, which was a great point. And we hadn't even dreamt that we would be in a position to do that. And Chris, let me just kind of find this here. Chris actually did some work with the data. Just looking for.
Sorry, really quickly, while you're looking for that, we just had a couple more comments. Les Malloy again. Thumbs up for the Zeiss ED compacts. They're very good quality and surprisingly bright for small bins. I've actually had a look through them. I think I looked through the 8x25. I think they're the ones with the kind of offset hinging system, and they're really very good. They've got a good field of view, and they are bright. And Mo Jackson, she uses Swarovski 60 centimeter, blimey, that'd be big. 60 mil scope with a carbon fiber tripod, which makes it lighter to carry. And again, 60 scope versus an 80. It all comes down to, you know, early morning and late evening. If you don't birdwatch at those times, you won't really tell much difference between a 60 and an 80 unless you're digiscoping, but we might touch on that next month. Yeah,
but definitely for weight, it's a significant difference. And again, for Elaine, my wife, we're looking at a 60 mil scope. But let me share this screen. So Chris, thanks for putting the work in and putting together that link to that website for me, where he actually mapped out across the county the 75 or 80 grid references that we gave him. But Andrew, our webmaster, has also been working on it and is now on the Rookery Survey page on the website. So if you go to our website, click Rookery Survey, you'll now see a live map appear here.
Wow.
That actually populates itself by people putting in the references, and you can see we've had 120 plus. Lots of these are multiple recordings of rookeries that are close together, but right the way throughout Essex. There's my few down here.
Nice.
Some fantastic work out towards the coast.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. We have almost a wall where the M25 is. They must not cross. We may have some data from in there that Howard has from the East London Bird Forum, but there are one or two areas that have not been covered. The South End area. Are we actually seeing that, again, the metropolitan area of Southend is pushing rooks out? And so, you know, there's obviously a lot of built up area through there, but are there any rookeries? I've asked Jeff Delve and Paul Baker maybe to try and ask the SOG guys, or if anybody's working over there or whatever and has the opportunity to look for rookeries over there and report them in, that'd be great. Similarly, up the M11 corridor here, we have a little area, probably Epping Forest, and through there. I know Mike Rimmel's deserted, hasn't gone up to Norfolk, certainly for the moment, but that's your patch, Mike. It's no good watching 500 plus nests in Norfolk when your own patch is missing you. Come on.
Yep.
But yeah, if anybody can look up there, and then a little bit of an area here around, that's probably, is that Abberton here, Steve, and south of Abberton?
Tiptree,
Yeah.
That sort of area.
Yeah.
So you can look on the website and see areas that have not been reported. It might be that there aren't, any rookeries in there,
Well,
but it's been fantastic. And I think, is it Mel?
Yeah.
Matt, you were saying he put a message up that he'd been working on his bus, driving the bus, and I think he's already surveyed 11 different locations.
Yeah.
And he's seen.
I'm a little bit worried about his passengers, to be honest. It sounds like he's kind of driving around like that.
Driving around looking at rookeries. I'll go back and see 4 more. Thanks, Mel. That's fantastic. And then the other thing that's interesting, I just saw a tweet earlier this evening. The Hertfordshire Bird Club have now asked members to actually, and people travelling through, to report their rookeries. So if that, gets done, then we'll be able to compare and maybe cross over the border, so to speak, and see what's happening, particularly around the M25 area. And this survey hasn't been done for a number of years. Howard has data from the past, particularly for the East London area. And so it's going to be fascinating to see what actually comes out of change from times past to now, and also what we're seeing in terms of the current picture. Yeah. So we've probably got another week or so before the leaves are out. Somebody actually, again, another interesting, can't remember whether it's Ashley, somebody tweeted, I saw, no, actually they put a report in. I think I've had about 20 reports come in today, and I just glimpsed at one where they said that the elms in the particular area where the rookery is are now no longer used because a lot of the elms have died away, and the rooks are actually nesting in conifers. Now that's a first for me, hearing of rooks nesting in conifers.
Wow.
Making it more difficult for him to count, but that's very, very interesting data coming back to us, because obviously Dutch elm disease has knocked out a lot of the elms across the country, let alone Essex. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear any other details like that as people survey. But thank you for everybody that's been involved. It's absolutely fantastic. And let's see if we can get the whole of the county covered and really make, this a landmark survey that then we kind of, go back to in future years. Yep. On the topic of surveys, unless anybody's got anything else to say, thanks Andrew Ducat, our webmaster, for his work there. Again, just overnight that appeared, and Chris Cater too. But Matt, Turtledove Survey.
Yeah, well, basically, before we do that, very briefly, there was an email that came through to the Society from Paul Shuttleworth. And I don't know if this has been done yet, because he sent it through on the 15th of March, so a few days ago. And he was asking if anyone had recorded the rookery at Inworth, either side of the B1023, grid reference 880175. So I don't know if that's been done, but he's seen several nests while he was driving. He's offered to go back and do it. So hopefully that one can be covered at Inworth.
Yeah, can maybe check that up on the map.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything on Tiptree there. So,
that's what I was thinking, because you've got that area. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Turtledove Survey. So basically, we were contacted by the RSPB in regard to the Turtledove Survey, and this is, I think it's sort of fairly similar to the Breeding Bird Survey, in as much as there are 1 kilometre squares that are kind of targeted throughout the county, or throughout the country. In fact, this is a nationwide survey. And you can take part. I'm just going to get the link up very quickly. Just bear with me. Hold on. The idea is you can basically volunteer to cover a 1 kilometre sector. And in a similar manner to the Breeding Bird Survey, you simply make a record of any turtle doves that you see, and what they're doing, basically, whether there's any signs of nesting activity, what behaviour patterns they're exhibiting, that sort of thing. Now, I'm going to cover Ardley Reservoir around the corner from me, because there was definitely 2 birds there last year. I think there was possibly 3. And there's a whole host of squares available throughout the county, and I think you can get the information directly with the RSPB on their website. And you can also do it from our website. So if you go onto the Essex Birdwatching Society website, this is on the home page. and you can basically submit your kind of application to cover a square via email to Simon Watton, and the email address is on the homepage. And there are some examples of the squares that are available. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Just coming.
Yeah, PDFs. Have you got them?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's got a whole load down there with grid references as well. You can click on each one to find out where they are. And in addition, there's quite a helpful guide on here as well as to kind of what you're looking for, how to conduct the survey, the type of behaviour and sightings we're looking for, the type of habitat to look out for as well that will indicate good nesting ground for turtle doves. So they like sort of quite dense hedgerows and scrub. So yeah, there's a really useful link just there. Even if you're not, you don't fancy taking part in the survey this time around, this is really good information anyway if you're out and about on your travels to look out for turtle doves. But it's really worth taking part in surveys like this. Like I said, I'm doing the British breeding birds as well, and it just means that the sightings that you're making actually do mean something, and they're used. And it doesn't matter how good you are, you need to be a sort of reasonable level, as long as you're okay and you can identify the common species. The data that you record is absolutely valuable, and we really appreciate people submitting via our website, but taking part in the surveys is really important, so we'd encourage everyone to do that, please.
Great, thanks Matt, great job. Good, so I think we just about covered everything. I think we have.
Tim Hayward has said he can check out Inworth tomorrow.
Thanks Tim, brilliant.
Thanks, Tim. Excellent.
Great stuff.
Great. Have we got any messages on Facebook, Steve?
No, I think I'm up to date on Facebook. I'm just quickly checking.
Done a great job tonight, guys, kind of following that up.
Yeah, I think we're up to date on everything as well, which is great.
Good. So next month we're going to be on the 23rd of April for the Birds of Essex. But before that, there is, there we go. And before that, there's a V-Talk.
And sorry.
Steve's really kind of dancing.
Oh, here we go.
On it. Be careful, he is 50.
There's a story about that duck, but that one I'll have to save till another time. But yeah, cracking talk. Iceland and Back by Brian Nobbs. That's on the 2nd of April, Friday night.
Yep.
One of our virtual talks. But yeah, kind of don't forget, as I say, last few days of that Rookery survey. Let's see how many we can actually get and see if we can cover the whole county. But I don't know, kind of, here's the question: will we have seen one of these by the time we?
Oh,
you never know.
When is it? 23rd of April. Oh yeah.
Could be in, won't there?
Was that a collar dove? Was that a collar dove?
That's a collar dove, mate.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's going to be cuckoo time next time, isn't it? If it isn't every time.
Yeah. Oh well, I think we're
done.
Covered everything, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget to buy your sweatshirts; they're really good. Join the society as well if you're not already a member. Have a look at our website, and it's only £16 to join for a year. You get the bird report, which is brilliant. You get 2 copies of our journal, which is really always a really good read. Those in their own right are well worth the membership, and you can also obviously take part. We do the virtual talk, as Steve said. You can watch that via Zoom if you're a member, and hopefully, fingers crossed, later in the year we're going to have our field trips back again. We have indoor meetings, so there's lots of benefits, and it's a really good community as well. So it's well worth checking out. You can even join online now, so you don't have to send off checks or postal orders anymore. You can join via PayPal. You can pay by standing order. It's dead simple. It's really cheap. So yeah, please take a look. We'd really appreciate it.
Yep,
that's great. Well, thanks for watching tonight, and thanks for all of your feedback. It's really generous of you. And stay in touch. Kind of subscribe on YouTube for latest updates, and follow on Facebook and Twitter. And we'll see you next month, and hope to see you in the field very, very soon. All the best. Thank you. Bye bye.
Take it easy. See you next month.